Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the United Nations General Assembly. My name is Oprah Winfrey, and I have been assigned to evaluate Canada's stand on maintaining responsible international involvement in response to their application towards becoming our advisor country. I have done extensive research and overanalyzed all of Canada's positive and negative history to see if they are appropriate for this paramount position. As we all know, the four main criteria that I will be judging Canada on are if they have cooperated with other countries, helped others facing injustice, showed good moral judgment when faced with conflict, and if they have successfully worked towards peace. A UN advisor country is like the world's big brother that we all look up to. It has to be a country that has done some wrongs in the past, but has worked their way through the difficulties in a positive manner. This is a big job that requires a ton of experience and a lot of time, and after many nights on thinking this through with evidence from history and many back and forth thoughts, I have finally come to a decision. Canada most certainly does deserve to be the UN advisor on maintaining responsible and effective international involvement, and I have many reasons why. Let us focus back on World War I and make our way down the timeline, shall we? For World War I, Canada was automatically included in the war because of our support to the British Empire. Canadian soldiers fought many battles for their country during this time, although the main battles I'll use as examples toward Canada being our UN advisor include the Battle of Ypres, Somme, and Passchendaele. During the Battle of Ypres and Somme, Canada fought alongside Belgium, France, and Britain and successfully cooperated with them. Sure, neither battle worked towards creating peace, but Canada was trying to help the Belgians who were facing the injustice of having the Germans attack them. Now, let us talk about the Battle of Passchendaele. During the Battle of Passchendaele, Canada showed good moral judgment by protesting against the battle, saying that casualties would be higher than ever. Although they were overruled, they voiced out their opinion and made sure they were heard. We need an advisor country that proves that they can voice their notion when necessary. Now, let us fast forward to not World War II, but the events that came afterwards. A big event that happened during 1945 in Canada was the Guzhenko Affair. When a USSR embassy in Ottawa gave the Canadian government proof that there were Soviet spy rings happening in Canada, people started to establish paranoia towards communism, otherwise known as the Red Scare. During this Red Scare, the American government did all they could to separate communists or anyone that was suspected of being communists away from everyday society. Lester B. Pearson disagreed with the whole idea of this type of witch hunt and refused to outlaw communism in Canada, and was then labeled a communist because of this. When faced with this conflict of being labeled something he wasn't, he showed good moral judgment by not giving in to peer pressure by America and sticking to Canada's belief in democracy. He also helped the communists in Canada facing injustice by not throwing them under the bus like many other countries did. Although, to be safe, Pearson did have the RCMP keep an eye out on any communists just to be relatively safe, which was the Canadian government's way of successfully working towards peace between the present ideologies that were in Canada at the time. Now let us focus on Canada's responsible international involvement during the 1950s, more importantly, during the Korean War. When the communist North Koreans invaded the democratic South Koreans, the United Nations, that's us, sent a force to defend South Korea. The UN force included Canada and 32 other countries, which all cooperated and fought to push the North Koreans back. Once the goal of pushing them back north was done, Canada wanted to stop the fighting. This caused America to get angry with Canada, but Canada stood their ground by not changing their mind and proved their good moral judgment when faced with the conflict of having their neighbor country disagree with them. Canada's choice of not participating in the witch hunt of communists during this time helped Canada successfully worked towards peace and essentially led to the diverse country that Canada is today. Although ultimately America pushed for gains, they failed in doing this, and Canada was fatally proven right. This trait of having an opinion and sticking with it through difficult times is a trait that is essential for the UN's advisor country, which is why I believe Canada would be a perfect fit for this position. Now, do not get me wrong, Canada isn't a perfect country, because in reality there really is no such thing as a perfect country. Canada has made some mistakes in the past, and even recently. For example, in Rwanda during 1994, Hutu people used propaganda to systematically murder 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus. When we, the United Nations, sent 3,000 peacekeepers under the Canadian general, Canada asked for 2,000 more men. They asked for more men because they could see the genocide coming. Then, after 10 Belgian peacekeepers were killed, the force was cut down to only 500 peacekeepers. This was a complete failure on the UN, Belgium, and Canada, which was a horrific experience that Canada got to learn from. In conclusion, Canada has shown many examples of their ability to maintain responsible international involvement through history and through many events that go on every day. The country has shown that they know how to cooperate with other countries, help others facing injustice, show good moral judgment when faced with conflict, and successfully work towards peace. If this isn't a good enough reason to let Canada be our almighty UN advisor, I don't know what is. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day.